not 100% sure, but I think I just started following Jordan Harrington on TikTok.
Okay.
Is that right?
Probably, yeah.
Something about you did this cool little Mexican dance.
Yeah.
I wasn't 100% sure that it was you, but I had to watch it. And I think I went in a couple. That's right, because then I went in a couple more and saw the a clip of you and Shiloh.
Yeah.
Sparring. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Awesome. Good grief. Hey guys, how you doing? You are watching Convos on the Groove Zone Network. I'm DJD Phoenix coming to you out of Olympia, Washington today. And I've got the absolute pleasure to bring you guys a new MMA fighter into our realm. Some of you may have heard of him already, and the rest of you, well, I get to introduce him to you now. Please welcome to the show for the first time, Jordan Harrington out of Aberdeen, Washington. Jordan, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing well, man. Doing okay. Hey, good to see you, first of all.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me on.
Well, hey, and thank you for being here. Totally appreciate this. And now that we're actually on, I'll take a quick second to put a shout out to Nathan Stolen, who is the MMA fighter that set Jordan and I up. So Nathan, always appreciated. Totally appreciate you. So what's first of all, what's new in your world? What's going on in the daily life of Jordan Harrington?
The daily life of Jordan Harrington, it's just the normal adult life, work, kids, training as much as I can, prepare myself for my upcoming fights. But honestly, I live a pretty boring life. Like I said, it's just work, training, kids. When I can, I work out. But other than that, I tend to keep to myself. Living in this small town, there's not a whole lot to do. So just come home and...
And you're where? Are you in Aberdeen?
I am technically in Aberdeen, but I live right outside of it. It's a little strip called Cosmopolis.
You're in Cosmopolis?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, tiny little villa.
Very tiny.
Yeah, and as far as a lot to do, probably not. I moved out of Aberdeen back in 2016, and I gotta say, I was out there for the most part for 10 years, and I really liked it. And I was right in the downtown area, Cosmopolis. So yeah, it's got its own feel to it.
Yeah, very quiet, very peaceful. I grew up in Hoquiam. Tried to leave. I've been in Washington for about 23 years. Tried to leave right out of high school. Things didn't go my way. Met my wife, who is from here.
Okay.
Did the lovey-dovey things, had kids, got married, and I am still here to this day.
It happens. They say that if you drink the water, it'll hold you here.
I believe it. I believe it.
I'd say if you didn't want to remain here for very long, quit drinking the water, but that doesn't leave you any options. Cool. And so, and you said you went to what school again? Hoquiam or Aberdeen?
I went to Hoquiam High School.
Hoquiam, okay. So like when at what point in time was it that you kind of figured that like maybe fighting was going to be the route you wanted to go, or at least as like a side career or whatever?
To be honest with you, I never thought I was going to do MMA. Growing up back in Indianapolis in Florida, which Indiana is where I'm originally from, and I moved here from Florida.
Okay.
Growing up, I was involved in a lot of street fights. I was the older brother of 4, and, got to do big brother duties. And we escaped from Florida, came here, and I, same thing, happened to fight because I had siblings who liked to run their mouths. And so I never wanted to fight. I hated fighting.
Really?
And my dad was a boxer. My mom was a boxer. My dad's whole side of the family are all involved in mixed martial arts, jiu-jitsu, and boxing.
Wow.
So it really wasn't.
Wow.
So it really wasn't anything I wanted to pursue, especially, like I said, with me growing up having to fight. And I believe I was 19 and I was playing on a men's soccer team, and I was coaching at Hoquiam. I'd coached at Hoquiam High School for almost 10 years. And my coach had a brother-in-law that I was coaching on the team, and he approached me, and I had gone out to Tahola on the 4th of July to do a boxing thing. A bunch of buddies begged me to do it, so I did it. he got wind of that and heard that I was a good fighter, approached me at the tournament and was like, hey, I heard you're a good fighter, you know, amazing wrestler. I'd like for you to come in my gym. And I was like, nah, you know, I'm not really into the whole fight scene. I was like, I just did the boxing just to have fun. I don't want to do it.
Right.
A couple months go by. He continues to approach me and beg me to do it. Well, soccer had just finished up and I was like, man, I have nothing to do. So I was like, you know what? I'll give it a shot. I'll just go in and train, just keep myself in shape, but I'm not fighting.
Right.
I go in and I think a month in, he comes up to me one day and he goes, so I got you a fight. I was like, you did what? I got you a fight. You're fighting in Seattle this weekend. Wait, no. What are you doing?
Wow.
So we drove up to Seattle for my first fight and I was nervous. I was very nervous. Found out my guy was twice my age. He's 30 years old, fresh out of prison, yoked guy. And I get in the cage and this dude hit me with the nastiest right hook.
Wow.
The round ends and Jacob tells me, do what you're good at. What the heck does that mean? He's like, wrestle. Okay. Take the guy down. And I ended up ground and pounding him. I just like this. Won my first fight ever. And then from there, I fell in love with it. You know, coming home after that first win, all my friends come, oh, Jordan, whoa, we know you could do it. And that's how it all started.
Wow. That's wild. If for no other reason that gave you absolutely what? Just a matter of like 3 days of that training time to get prepped for it. When on average, I mean, some fighters like really spend quite a significant amount of time prior to the event getting ready and getting prepped and mentally trained and, you know, physically trained and all that. Well, first of all, congratulations, because that's an awesome story as far as your first win. Who were you up against?
Man, what was his name?
Or let me ask, what year was this?
This was back in 2011.
Okay, so it's been a little while.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm reading stuff right, according to Tapology.com, it looks like you're it looks like your last fight was just on the 8th.
Yes, sir.
This month. Okay. And where was that?
That was at Little Creek Casino over in Shelton.
Get out.
Yeah.
No way, really? Wow. Okay, what was the event?
It was WFC.
Okay.
Yeah, he tends to throw a few shows here, but he's got a lot of shows that go on all, you know, he's trying to make it nationally. I know he's got a show coming up in California. I know he's got another one over in, I want to say Tennessee, but he kind of goes all over the place.
Okay.
But we weren't going to take that fight. And I was like, you know, both my first 2 pro fights were in Boise, Idaho.
Okay.
And I have a lot of friends here, and so a lot of them couldn't fly over to support me. And so I was like, you know, I told my manager and my coach, I was like, you know what, let's just take the fight. I was like, it's local. It'll be nice to have a local fight for a change. And thank God the fight went my way.
I was just going to ask. Okay, so it was a win then?
Yes, sir. A minute and 35 seconds.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong. Wow. And I don't need to know like specifics, but I mean, there is decent money to be made in this. Okay. So did you get a purse that night then?
Yep, I got a nice purse. I also got some cash from the ticket sales, which was really nice. And then, of course, you got your sponsors. So I walked away with a pretty decent amount of money. It was a decent amount, not what I'm used to, but, you know, it is what it is. You know, thankfully, I have a good job and I don't have to rely off of this money. So I put that money to the side for when it comes to, you know, me having to fly out if I need new training gear. And so that money stays away. But it definitely helps when it comes to my training time.
Very cool. Okay. And I think it's one of those things that probably a lot of people that have never been in not only just the sport, but at least on the level that you are and that you're rising up in. I mean, it's a guessing game as to how much anybody would make. And I don't know if it varies or not, but just something that I think some people would probably want to know. So let's see, anything on the horizon?
So as of right now, as a pro, I am 2-1 right now.
Okay.
I went 15-3 as an amateur with 5 belts. And so
15-3?
15-3 as an amateur, yeah.
Nice. Okay, cool.
And so right now for the horizon, we're looking possibly at the end of May.
Okay.
And then I'm hoping I can get at least 2 more wins and speak.
Yo, what's going down? This is your boy Dub FX. I am doing a show called Hook, Line, and Thinker with DJ D Phoenix on Neo Retro FM, so tune into that. Peace.
Hoping I can get at least 2 more wins, and speaking with my manager, 2 more wins and two pretty good wins could possibly land me a Bellator fight. So I'm hoping these next 2 fights go my way, because I'm definitely want to take it as far as I can. I am getting a little older. I'm almost 33 years old. Been doing this since I was 19. There was a point where I was like, I am getting older. I did 5 years of semi-pro football. I did soccer. I was a dummy in high school when it came to sports, and I've ruined my body quite a bit, but I got a good support crew, my wife. And after that win, my wife actually told me, she's like, you keep talking about 4 more fights and you're done. I was like, yeah, our kids are getting older. I'm getting sore. And she's like, but look how good you are. She goes, why quit? Keep going. So we sat down and I made the decision that I'm going to keep going as far as I can to see where I can get to. And we'll see what happens. But yeah, like I said, we're looking at the end of May, and then we'll go from there. If something comes sooner, hey, let's do it.
Very cool. Good. Then that means that we'll get to be on board as far as doing stepping up with the promotions too for your May. So that's awesome. Let me ask, what is the average age that somebody basically taps out and steps out of the industry because of their age? Like what? I mean, I know that. See, you say 33. You say early 30s, and I'm just like, wow, what a pop. But you're right though, especially in this kind of a game, because it's not. I mean, even like in professional wrestling, they can go for a little. They can go for a ways. But when it comes to like the more like extreme sports, and that's not discounting anything about professional wrestling, it's sports entertainment. I get that. But there's something about these particular types of sports, though, it takes a lot more out of you, I think. Yeah.
So, my opinion, I say 35 is probably the time to stop, especially if you haven't made it to the big leagues.
Right.
But, like I said, if you're good at what you do and you get noticed and you put the time in, I'm sure, you could surpass that age and going when you're 40-something. I mean, look at the UFC. They've got guys that are 48, 49, but from what I've been told, 35's the cutoff age, and that's one reason why we're trying to push so hard to get me bigger shows so I can get to that bigger spot before I am 35.
Right.
And so,
yeah.
And if
I was going to say, and excuse me, I'm a rude bastard when it comes to interrupting people. But yeah, because at that point, if you've got the momentum going already, you don't necessarily have to even consider like calling it a day, because at that point, if you've got the momentum going already, you don't necessarily have to even consider like calling it a day, because you've got all that good. Well, there again, like I said, we'll do what we can as far as helping promote it. Did you get a chance to check out any of our shows online or anything?
Not yet. I was gonna go ahead and look at them right after this. Like I said, I've only get 2 days off, and so I'm running around trying to get things situated.
I don't even want you watching it until like it's the end of the world, or until like you've done absolutely everything else that you need to do and have absolutely nothing better. Then maybe sit down and there's a wide variety of shows and programs out there. Right.
But then again, who knows? This world's a mystery.
Good point. Actually, the Dogman phenomenon is as close to home as just south of Olympia now.
Really?
Yeah. There have been, within the last couple of years, there's been 4 separate sightings of something that resembles. Did you ever see the movie Underworld?
Yeah.
Okay, something that resembles the lycanthropes from that movie. 4 separate incidents. We're supposed to go on an overnight outing, and I'm talking really big right now because it's like before the fact. Yeah, one of our panelists actually is from that area, and just happens to know the different people that have seen this thing. Like I said, and it's almost in his backyard.
Oh boy!
But when it's and you said it, which is that it's like some people are probably doing it for like views or whatever. But then you've got your weird random situations though where somebody's just out doing their own thing, and there's just I don't know if it's just the times that we're in or whatever, but there is some trippy stuff going on for sure.
I'm definitely gonna have to check this dog man out because I live around a lot of woods. I like to be nosy and take my dogs out on random trails, and I tend to get lost sometimes. And I'm telling you right now, that'd be the last thing I want to see walking in the woods by myself.
Oh my gosh! Well, and the thing is that the stories originated out of the Midwest. And on the East Coast, but they started to trickle out, and like supposedly up in the Mount Rainier area. So you got the family thing going on. What are you kind of wanting? Like besides the MMA career, what are kind of some of your short-term, long-term goals? You guys gonna stay in the area, or just let the kids grow up in the area and go to school, or?
Yeah, I think we're gonna stay in the area. I mean, I can't tell the future. We may eventually leave when the kids get older, but as of right now, it's kind of beneficial for us to live here. My she's Hispanic, so you know how that goes. They're very close with their family.
Right.
And, it's just very beneficial. We've got free babysitting. When me and my wife need to go somewhere, we can just drop the kids off with their aunts, and they have their cousins here. And like I said, me growing up, I had a pretty rough upbringing. And so I don't talk to my family that actually live here right now. So if I talk to any family, I have to communicate with my family that I have back in Indiana or go visit.
Okay.
And so I don't want to take that away from my wife or my kids. And I love my wife's family to death. Like, they've embraced me with open arms. So we're going to stay here. But one of my goals, and I actually talked to a lady today about it, that's part of our city council. She wants me to join the city council, and eventually she says that I should run for mayor, which I've been told a lot because, growing up as a poor kid and now living the way I'm living, I've seen how hard it is for a lot of kids. And, coming from an abusive family, a lot of kids don't have a safe place to talk to somebody. And so one of my goals is to hopefully one day open up a Boys and Girls Club.
Nice.
Where kids can come in, and they have a safe place to communicate, because I worked at a juvenile detention center, and a lot of those kids' problems were they weren't getting positive attention. And so negative attention was enough for them. Even if it was hurting them, it was still enough. And that kind of touches home with me because that's how I was as a kid. Thank God I never ended up in juvie, never became a drug addict or alcoholic. I found positive ways, as in like sports. Sports was my go-to. And, I didn't have to talk to people because as long as I was doing a sport, I was happy.
Right.
And so, but there's a lot of kids that aren't fortunate enough to be able to do that. So they run off, party, do drugs. And so living in this small town, just seeing kids that I coached personally kind of go down the wrong path. Like, we have kids now that I bring into our gym sometimes, and just seeing how they've changed as a person, it makes me happy knowing that I helped this kid. And so that is one of my future goals, is to open up.
Remember, tight shots. Charge it, shoot that uppercut. No. There you go. Get off the gate. Circle out. Get out. Let's go. Jeremiah, get out. Get out, guys. Get out. There you go.
So that's one of my future goals, is to open up a Boys and Girls Club. Right now, it's kind of hard to get it going. So while we have our gym, I'm going to continue bringing kids in and welcome them in our gym with open arms. But that is a future goal of mine.
Nice. Well, it's not like there isn't some available property in downtown Aberdeen, though.
Yeah.
How cool. And I really like that idea too. And like what you were saying, sports has been the saving grace for a lot of young kids.
Yeah.
That's been their out, you know, when there wasn't much else looking up for them. But you know, there again, not everybody has that availability. So with this, I know. Who are some of your favorite musicians?
So I'm an old school kind of guy.
Awesome.
So I mean, I lived with my grandma, so I love the old, you know, Temptations, Marvin Gaye, Otis Redding, Sam Cooke. I could go on the list, you know, but that's my kind of music. I've got one right now that he's a newer singer. His name's Jacob Banks, and I actually walked out to his song. It's called Monster 2.0.
I will check it out. Okay.
Yeah.
Jacob Banks.
That's my go-to.
Cool. And you know what? It's funny because late 60s, early 70s soul R&B is one of my favorites. Stylistic, The 3 Degrees, The Emotions, Tavares, Supremes. Yeah, just totally. And for me, it takes me back to like that late 60s, early 70s being in Seattle. You know, it's just like that good, you know, that timeless music. Okay, cool. What was the last concert you saw?
My last concert I went to was a Temptations concert here in Aberdeen. Got to meet one of the original members.
Nice.
So it was pretty cool.
Good. A word to the world. If you could say anything to the audience today, anybody watching and listening to us online, what would it be?
So this one it's kind of tough to talk about just because I've been in this position before. We just recently lost a dear friend of ours from the fighting community. I'm pretty sure a lot of you have heard of Street Beefs.
Yeah.
A really close friend of ours, Jay Gotham, took his life a couple days ago. You know, he had a lot of struggles, and I just want people to know that, you know, if you've got something going on in your life and you need to talk to someone about it, you know, don't be scared to open up to people. You know, I once was that kind of person, you know, I had a hard time opening up to people, thinking people wouldn't understand where I was coming from and would understand my situation because they've never been in that situation. But as I got older, I realized it's good to talk about it instead of holding your emotions, because you holding on to your emotions is just going to make the situation worse. That could possibly lead you to doing something that you can't take back. And so I just tell people, you know, if you got a friend, you know, check up on your friends, communicate, make sure your friend's okay. If you got something, open up to somebody.
Wow. First of all, I'm sorry to hear about that. That's really messed up. You know, I think too, for so many people, if they weren't a little bit off the edge or over the edge before COVID hit, those months of quarantine and all the rules that came down, and just the way that the nation has kind of seemed to like just continue to disintegrate, and just the psychological stuff that goes along with that, there's probably I would imagine that more than not, I would say the majority of people are dealing with some major stuff. And so having that outlet or utilizing that, but that's just it though. They've got to remember there are people that you can call, but you've got to be able to get yourself to that point where you want to reach out, you know, before. Yeah. But you did mention something too, and that's a good idea. If you find a friend that's kind of like slipping through the cracks or has gotten real quiet, do check on them. You know, just a quick touch base, you know, can make the world a difference.
Definitely can. Pretty cool.
Where was that at? Was that at the theater?
Yeah, it was here at the theater in Aberdeen.
Really? Okay.
And I was like a fangirl.
You know, even if it's 40 years after like their like peak popularity, there's something to be said about standing in the room with one of your favorites.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Because as many times as I've interviewed like different rock stars and bands and musicians and stuff, man, I still get the butterflies and I still get that, you know, okay, now you have your autograph kind of feeling. It's just like, good grief.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, guys, thanks so much for staying with us. You've been watching KONVOS here on the Groove Zone Network out of Olympia, Washington. Been hanging for a little while today with Jordan Harrington, an MMA fighter out of Aberdeen, Cosmopolis, Washington. We'll say Aberdeen. It's the harbor. He's got stuff online, so do check it out. There's videos out on YouTube. He's got different things on different sites online. So if you want to check the man out, do. And also be watching for him here because we'll be promoting him pretty heavily from here on out. So Jordan, gosh darn it, man. Thank you so much. Totally have dug this. And yeah, I'm looking forward to doing it again with you when we get a chance.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, and yeah, I'm looking forward too. And till next time.
Till next time. Cool. So guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these messages. You're watching the KONVOS show on the Groove Zone Network. DJ D Phoenix with Jordan Harrington. I'll be back after this. Don't go anywhere. Cool, buddy. Gracias.
Thank you.